Hello everyone, my name is Ganganit Pothikit from the Department of Teaching Chinese as a Second Language at National Taiwan Normal University. I am here to present a research paper that I've done with Professor Xia Ling. The topic is a contrastive move analysis in Chinese and Thai request emails and pedagogical implications. Move analysis is an approach to discourse analysis or analysis of text. It had been used to examine the rhetorical patterns of a certain type of spoken or written discourse or a text from a genre within the area of language for specific purposes. For example, a lot of researchers adopted this approach in analyzing the introduction part of a research paper or dissertation in a certain field, such as looking at an engineering research articles or economic research in their introduction parts. The analysis of texts or discourses results in the conclusion of rhetorical conventions of a genre. The results conclude textual patterns or organizations and rhetorical strategies of a spoken or written text. It tells us how to write, for example, an appropriate research articles in the field. What is the structure? What is the first thing to write? Or the first move to employ, etc. This leads to our research, which uses contrastive move analysis approach. Contrastive move analysis is the contrasting of two languages' move structure, which resulted from move analysis. Identifying similarity and differences for the purpose of language teaching, especially in a course in language for specific purposes. As move analysis has been mostly adopted to analyze research articles, Little Works has focused on email, an essential form of communication for contemporary language learners. Therefore, our research focused on investigating request email writings and compare move structures employed in Chinese and Thai language request emails from a cross-cultural perspective. The first purpose is to compare move structures employed in Chinese and Thai language request emails, and the second purpose is to suggest email writing pedagogical approach and materials for Thai and Chinese learners. Now let's look at our methods. We collected request email samples from the native speakers of both languages using online questionnaire through Google Form. A total of 200 request emails were collected, which 100 of them are written in Chinese and another 100 of them written in Thai. As you can see in the chart, half of the emails are supposed to be sent to recipients with higher status than the sender. We asked participants to imagine they are writing to request their professors to help them fill out the questionnaire for their own research. The other half of the emails were supposed to send to the recipients of vehicle studies, which are the peers, with the same purpose of request. After that, we analyzed the email samples The analysis was done by native speaker researchers to, firstly, identify the move structures using Swale's model of genre analysis. And then we conclude the rhetorical conventions of email writing of each language. And then compare Chinese and Thai email writing rhetorical patterns, identifying similarities and differences. And finally, making suggestions for email writing pedagogical material improvement. Grounded in Swale's genre analysis model, this approach focuses on communicative purposes referred to as moves and rhetorical strategies called steps. For example, in emails, we begin with opening salutation move and end with the closing move. For the opening salutation move, we might involve addressing the recipients with their name for the first steps, or greetings, or formal salutation, etc. We also analyze the obligation of each move and step, for example, identifying if this step is obligatory or optional. And finally, we have one obligatory move of requests in our request emails. The results reveal that both languages share a common threefold move structure, which are salutation, request, and closing move. The request move also involves similar obligatory steps in emails of both languages. For example, introducing oneself, explaining reasons, making requests, providing further explanations, and expressing gratitude. Furthermore, emails in both languages sent to the recipients of higher status require more steps overall than those sent to recipients of equal status. Despite the similarities, noticeable cross-language differences can be observed in terms of strategy deployed under each step. For example, while Chinese senders prefer the use of addressing and greeting in their opening salutation, and the expression of good wishes in their closing move, Thai senders exhibit more formal wordings in these moves, prefer the use of formal salutation and formal closing in both moves. Variations are also found in the form of optional steps and the distribution of optional steps, such as apologizing, affirming the contribution of the recipients, expressing expectations, offering something in return, and summarizing the purposes of the email. Based on the identified similarities and differences, this study concludes with suggestions as to the development of appropriate email writing pedagogical material for Thai learners of Chinese as a second language. For example, we can see that Thai students might have to be acquainted with how Chinese speakers adopted different strategies in their emails, meaning using greetings in the opening move, unlike formal addressing in Thai. We made suggestions for the vocabulary exercises which appropriate to Thai learners, or the email writing exercises in the Chinese style for Thai learners in the teaching material, and so on. Finally, the conclusion. This contrastive move analysis research uncovers similarities and differences in move structures of Chinese and Thai request emails. And the results can be used in improving email writing pedagogy for Thai learners of Chinese as a foreign language. That is all. Thank you very much.